Got something to say? Get in on the conversation at 415-915-2291. That's 415-915-CALL-1.
Welcome to Conspiracies Against Wellness with your host, Janelle Elgaway.
Good evening. Welcome to Conspiracies Against Wellness. I'm your host, Janelle Elgaway. If you have a question or comment for myself or our guest, please call in at 415-915-2291 or call 1. You can also chat with me on our YouTube channel at Conspiracies Against Wellness livestream. November is Raise Awareness Month for CRPS RSD. Last night, Michael Coffey talked about trigger point massage therapy to treat CRPS and his mother's personal journey with CRPS. He will be joining us tonight at the end of the show to share a few more things with us on this. ConNation's guest this evening is Suzanne Stewart. She will discuss her personal journey having CRPS RSD and other health issues that she has. We will also talk about the major issues currently in the United States that intractable pain patients and doctors are experiencing on opioids. And we are going to go over the amazing advocacy work that Suzanne does for different communities. Suzanne, welcome to ConNation. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Can you please tell me a little bit about yourself and your professional background?
Yes. Well, you got my name is Suzanne Stewart, and I graduated from college a long time ago. I'm a grandma in 1985 with my degree in sign language studies, interpreting, and deaf culture. And then I studied journalism also, but I didn't get a degree in it. I have been writing for newspapers since I started elementary school in 5th grade. I started with something called the Nosy News. Then when I worked at U of M Hospital, I did the Clerical Nursing Network, and I've had my blog, Tears of Truth, since about 2005, and then I've just been a writer, a blogger, and a volunteer advocate since I've stopped working.
Wow, that's impressive. So this month is CRPS RSD Raise Awareness Month. What does that mean to you?
It means spreading awareness by being live and being seen, being heard, talking to people, being out in the public, talking to people, doing live videos during the weeks and days, speaking, doing awareness events, fundraisers, talking about the different nonprofits that help with CRPS and RSD. Just pretty much, doing everything that way. I have some of my own things, like I did a Wear Them, Share Them awareness thing with I sent people the little temporary tattoos to wear them, so people will ask them, what is that? What does that mean? And then they can talk about RSD, CRPS, and they can tell them what it is, because so many people don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah, and I want to get into that in more detail in a little bit, but so you have CRPS RSD. When did you find out you had this?
I was diagnosed in 2007, and I was actually told I had given a bottle of Lyrica after a surgery and told I had a little RSD in my post-surgical right foot. And I went home and looked it up, and I'm like, how can you have a little RSD?
Right.
And I went and got a second opinion, and I had it.
Wow. How long have you had this now?
Since 2007, so I've had the RSD CRPS since 2007, and then it went systemic later on.
Now, what does systemic mean? Is that full body or?
Yeah, I have now. First, I had it in my right foot, and it spread to both knees and both feet. and it stayed there for a while. Then I had some surgery done in my mouth, and it went to my mouth. And then I don't know why it went to my eyes, but it started going to my eyes. But then when I had a surgery in 2013 for my heart and my whole pectoral muscle rebuild, they kind of say that surgery is sort of like a mastectomy patient because I have lymphedema in my left arm, and like it's a big surgery and it's painful. And even though the doctor researched RSD and did all kinds of stuff to try and hold it off, I still got full body severe systemic CRPS in my full body.
Wow. So what does full body systemic CRPS or RSD, like, what is that like living with that?
You just, it's always there. And well, for me, I feel like I'm going to blow up from the inside out or burn up from the inside out. I feel sometimes like I try to explain it to my husband. I feel like I'm going to just blow up into a poof of dust. I feel so hot inside, like I'm just going to burn or something. And I just feel so hot. And even to my touch, people can touch like just the back of my neck or something, and it's like so hot. And my eyes actually swell, the eyeball swells, and I have to have prednisone drops to make the swelling go down, and they burn. My feet, it's different places, different days, or sometimes all places for many days. It just takes turns, and sometimes it's all the places all the time. It just depends what you do and how much you try to do and push yourself.
Mm-hmm. What other health issues do you have besides CRPS RSD?
Well, I was in a car accident in 2002, and I suffered TBI and 3 years of brain injury rehab. I had many surgeries, multiple surgeries. I have rheumatoid arthritis, Chiari, degenerative disc disease, right long thoracic nerve neuropathy, multiple herniated and bulging discs in my lower back and neck. And then I have something called polyneuropathy and collagen vascular disease, which is actually Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 4 vascular. Oh. And then I have gastroparesis, autonomic neuropathy, SIBO, Chiari with Chiari migraines. It's just a long list.
Yeah, no kidding.
And some heart issues.
Wow, I'm so sorry. All right, so when you have a flare for CRPS, does that affect your other health issues too, or do they like kind of work in tandem together? Like what is it like?
It depends, I think, like what I'm doing. Like if I'm trying to babysit with my husband for my granddaughters or something, and if I'm too active, like I can't hold my head up for a really long time because the Chiari is like a swelling of the hinterbrain of the tonsils of your brain. It doesn't fit into the spinal cord very well. Wow. And when that swells up, it makes it hard to hold up my head. And then the RSD goes into my neck too. And it's just, and then it starts going down my arm into the shoulder injuries and like everything. And it just starts going everywhere. Like it's like a domino effect, I guess you could say.
Okay. What treatments have you tried, and what worked and hasn't worked?
Well, prior to the RSD CRPS, I tried all the injections. I went through all the hoops at the pain clinic. I did the trigger point injections, the epidural nerve blocks. Mm-hmm. I tried biofeedback, psychotherapy, myofascial pain help, and one of the doctors said he could not work with me doing that kind of thing because I had too much pain in too many places. It was just too spread out. I tried 8 years of PT, OT, 3 years of TBI rehab. I've just tried a lot of things. And then it took me 2.5 years to even be brave enough to try opioids because I was afraid of them just because of everything you hear, and I didn't know. I was afraid, and they kept telling me it's okay, just take it, it'll work, it'll help. And I tried many, many different medications first before that, and I either got sick or was allergic or I had a reaction or whatever, and finally it helped. Something worked, mm-hmm. and that's what worked for me.
You mentioned you get upset lately every time you go to your doctors. Why is this? What's going on?
Well, I didn't used to. I never was one of those white coat fear people that, and my blood pressure wasn't high when I went to the doctor or anything. But through this journey, it has gotten really bad. And now, especially, every time I go especially to the pain doctor, you have to go every month. First it was every 3 months, then every 2 months. Now it's every month. And every time, even though I have a very good pain doctor, a very nice pain doctor, very strict and nurturing pain doctor, and everything, but I'm afraid every time I go there because I never know what day is it going to be my turn that they're going to say, I'm sorry, but you can't have those anymore.
Mm-hmm. Now,
because it's happening to everyone.
Right, yeah. And I really want to talk about this. So, like, you also mentioned you have some horror stories that personally has happened to you. Would you mind sharing a few of these so people could understand, what is going on and why there's this fear of certain things?
Yeah. So I went to about 5 shoulder doctors right after the car accident, and the 5th one finally helped me. But one of them said to me, "What do you mean? What can't you understand that it can't help your shoulder? What part don't you understand? Is it the brain injury? Like I can't fix your shoulder. What part don't you understand? Mm-hmm. Is it the brain injury? I mean, how mean is that?" And I found out that I actually had a ruptured bicep tendon that regrew incorrectly because no one would listen to me. And I had to go to the Cleveland Clinic and then back here, and then they had to put 2 screws in my shoulder and unattach it and reattach it to the humerus bone. So, and then I had several GI docs, and then finally somebody listened to me, and I found out that I have SIBO and gastroparesis. But the one before the last one, he said to my husband, "Man, you got more than you bargained for, didn't you? I'm amazed that you stayed with her and you're still here." I mean, and then I wrote a letter to the medical director of the hospital, and all I got was kind of a half, apology saying, "You should know I'm just a funny guy." And that's not funny.
Right. No, that's not at all. And I'm so sorry that you have to go through that. Do you think this is like a common thing that's going on right now in the United States?
Oh, I hear that. So many horror stories because of what I do. I hear so many horror stories from people. From all over. I haven't heard from out of our country, USA, but in the United States, I've heard people with horror stories of their doctors in the emergency rooms and people being so mean to them, treating them like criminals and treating them terribly. And that's why, frankly, I will not go to the emergency room. Even when I fell and hit my head on the cement and I'm on blood thinners and I was throwing up, I would not go. And my husband wanted me to go, I would not go.
Why? Why are you so afraid to go to the emergency room? What's going on?
Because I don't want to be, because I don't want them to think I'm there for pain medicine or be flagged as a drug seeker or be called names or be treated like a criminal or anything like that. I'm afraid of being treated badly because I've been treated badly a few times, and I don't want that to happen anymore. It's like a fear now. I don't want to do it unless my life is really. Like, if I know, like I told my husband the night that I was throwing up, he kept waking me up and everything. And I'm like, unless you think I'm out and I can't talk and I'm dying, don't let him take me anywhere.
Right. So, we had a candlelight vigil a month and a half ago, and talking about, people are dying. They are either committing suicide or they are dying because of because they're being cut off of their pain medication.
Right. Lack of access.
Right.
Yep.
What is occurring in your opinion within this nation, and why is this happening to chronic pain patients that have had things for a very long time, and suddenly doctors are just stopping this, giving them their medications? Well, why is this going on?
Well, what's happening is, first of all, there definitely is an opioid crisis, but the crisis is that chronic pain patients are losing life-saving medications for their chronic pain. Pain doctors are afraid now because the DEA will go into their offices unannounced without a warrant or anything like that, or maybe with a warrant, but they'll go in there and take their livelihood. They take records and they lose their practices for no reason whatsoever, and then they have to use their money to fight with a lawyer to help fight to get their life back. And so many of them are afraid of this. They're just taking people off and trying to think of, I do care about you, but I care about myself and my family first.
Right.
That's what they have to do to survive, and they're afraid too.
Why has this started? What's actually going on? Like, there's such a disconnect, it seems, between politicians, government, institutions like the CDC, doctors and patients with serious incurable diseases. What's going on? Why is this going on?
Well, I believe that it's happening. I'm sorry?
Just in your opinion,
Oh, yeah. I believe that it's happening because of, first of all, the CDC in 2016, well, it started a little bit before that, but in 2016, the CDC went in secret with Andrew Clodney and the prop doctors, and they went behind closed doors, and they had not one pain doctor, not one pain patient, nobody from that could help us, and they wrote up these guidelines that were supposed to be guidelines for general practitioners and with regarding opioids. But now they're making this laws in all these different states, and they're making it now to pain doctors have to adhere to these now, and they're not just guidelines. They're turning them into rules and laws that have to be followed, or you get in big trouble. And I think that's why it's happening, because of fear. I also think that money's involved. Andrew Clodney owns a chain of treatment centers, and I think that the more people that don't get the pain medicine they need, they're going to end up having to do something, or they can die from withdrawals. And we'll talk about that later. But I mean, he's going to get more money because there's people knocking down their doors to get in,
right?
And it's not a chronic pain patient's fault,
right? So is it that they're? Because there's obviously a problem within the United States with addiction and stuff like that. And it sounds like what you're saying is Kolodny, he had a lot of treatment centers, correct?
Yes, the Phoenix House.
Right. And
it's a chain of treatment centers.
Okay. And then also, I think they're trying to get Suboxone to be the main thing, which, do you know a lot about that? In case of, I don't know our audience. Would you like to explain what Suboxone is?
Suboxone is for it's for addiction treatment for people who abuse drugs, illicit drugs mostly. And Kolodny is trying to say that people with prescription drugs also do it, but mostly it's people who have stolen someone else's prescription and they add illicit drugs to it, and those are the ones who need this treatment. But he is trying to get other chronic pain patients and other people to have to take this Suboxone, and it's a different kind of it works on a different antagonist in the brain. It's different opiate antagonist, and it still causes you still get addicted to it or dependent on it, or like you can. There's worse side effects than there is with the regular opioids. It's different. It's not a good drug. It's not safe. I've looked up numerous things about it, and it's not safe. So I don't understand why I do understand because it's money, but it's just not. He's substituting his drug so that he can make money for all the other medications that people need.
Right. Now, is this an actual opioid, or does it have opioids in it?
It's an opioid antagonist. It's a different kind, but it still is an opioid, yes.
Okay. Now, why, chronic pain patients aren't addicts. Why give a chronic pain patient Suboxone? Like, why take all this other stuff?
Because he thinks there's a tape that I can show whoever needs to see it, but he is seen saying drug abusers and chronic pain patients, there is no difference. They are one group. And that's why he wants to use it with us. It's not right at all, because they're two distinct groups.
What's the difference between
chronic pain patients?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd say chronic pain patients are not drug addicts.
Right. Yeah. What's the difference between addiction and dependence?
Okay. Addiction is when you can't stop thinking about something and you ruminate and you think about it all the time, and you get high and you wait for the next dose, and you can possibly be sleepy and groggy, and you go to different doctors and different pharmacies and you get different prescriptions, and you might steal it from your friends or your family, and you doctor shop and pharmacy shop. That's nothing like a chronic pain patient. It can be dependent, but it's just like antidepressants were dependent on some high blood pressure meds, heart meds, even insulin. When you stop taking it, your body is used to it, so your body gets physically sick with, you can get vomiting, diarrhea, sweating, yawning, increased pain, and more. You don't in your mind, a chronic pain patient doesn't sit and think about their next dose or look at the clock or we wish we didn't have to take it. We don't want to take it like they do. They want to take it. We don't want to take it. We don't think about it all the time. We don't set the clock. We try to go longer if we can, and things like this.
Mm-hmm. What's the actual, I don't know if you know or not, percentage of who actually becomes an addict from taking pain medication? Because I think they also are trying to say that, if you take it once, you're going to become an addict now. Is that true?
Right. So, okay, so what they're saying is 1% of chronic legitimate prescriptions given by by a legitimate pain doctor given to a chronic pain patient, legitimate prescriptions, those people, only 1% get addicted possibly. But there was a writing called the Cochrane Review of 2010, and that writing says that only 0.5% become addicted.
Wow.
Of legitimate prescriptions given by a pain doctor to a pain patient.
Wow. So I read somewhere that it's about between 9 to 12 million patients out there right now that aren't going to be treated. Do you know anything about that,
Yes, I heard that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, you're good.
Oh, I just heard that it was going to start in Washington State, and they're starting to say now that in January, first of all, they're going to cut production by 20% in January all over the United States. And then they're starting, supposedly, this is just what I read, that they're going to start in Washington, and the other states are going to follow that. They're going to only allow opioids for cancer patients and people that are dying, end of life.
So, do you know,
that's really sad.
Is there a difference between cancer pain and intractable pain, or what a chronic pain patient would feel?
No. Andrew Klodny tried that too. He went to the FDA and he tried to petition them, and they wrote him back. And I can find that if somebody needs it. But the FDA wrote him back and says there is no scientific evidence found that there's a difference between the two. The FDA told him that when he tried to get it. They said that it should be allowed for cancer patients and chronic pain patients because they have found no scientific evidence that pain is different. And who are they to say what someone's pain is?
Right.
And they agreed. The FDA agreed.
They did. Okay.
With us.
So,
with us, not with him.
So, I mean, and how big is this? Because it seems like that, it seems like they really have their stuff together. And I'm talking about Klodny and this push that they're trying to push. I mean, like, have they been doing this a long time? Or how come this is suddenly becoming an issue? Or is it just that the media picked it up?
I'm not quite sure how it got started. It got started several years ago, like in 2014 and 2012, 2014. They started trying to say stuff about it, but then they got involved with. It's a long story, but Kalani's involved now with the Rumler Foundation. Mm-hmm. Steve Rumler is a patient who died, and so he's involved with them. And I think that the boy who died's mother, being involved with Klodny, they tried to help with prop, and they just all thought of this way, like the Rumler Foundation. They have these thousands and thousands of dollar dinners and stuff like that, where people pay thousands of dollars to have a dinner with them, and like it's just the money. Nobody just knows where the money's going, really, and it's just the whole thing is just. I feel, in my opinion, that this whole thing is all about money.
Yeah. And isn't it a myth that, I mean, in the media and everything like that, I mean, I see it every night on, like, if you watch NBC or something like that, mainstream media, they're always covering about how, the addiction has gone up and people are dying and it's so much bigger and worse than it's ever been and stuff like that. Is that actually true, or is it just a myth? And there's the same amount of, addicts or overdoses right now as it always has been. What's going on?
Actually, how do I say this? Let me think about how I can word this. The overdose deaths have actually, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So actually it's gone down. What's happening is that the chronic pain patients and the prescription writing and the giving pain medications has gone down, but the opioid deaths have gone up. Mm-hmm. But that is because they're not getting the prescriptions from doctors. The people, it's just kind of like gun control thing. When you take the guns away from everybody, the bad guys still find a way to get it.
Right.
So the addicted people, I'm not calling them all bad guys or anything. I mean, they have problems too. They have issues and problems. They're not bad guys. But I'm just saying that they find ways to get what they need. But the chronic pain patients don't do that. We suffer.
Right. So what fears do chronic pain patients have concerning being prescribed opioids? I know one time you mentioned, that you have a fear of that somebody will break into your house. Can you go into that a little bit of that fear and why people have that? It might not be yours completely, but
I don't even keep the medicine in my house anymore. We have it somewhere else, and I only keep enough for a couple days at a time because it's just too scary. Everybody's afraid of that. All the chronic pain patients are afraid of that because they think as people get more desperate, things are going to happen. And I actually had a friend who somebody broke into her house. She wasn't home, and they tore apart the house trying to look for her medication, and they found it, and they took it, and she suffered.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What are you doing to advocate and bring awareness to this issue?
Well, I volunteer for several different patient organizations, and I write in a blog called Tears of Truth, and mostly what's really been helping is writing for the National Pain Report. I have 36 published articles this year alone, and I've been really trying to get the word out there, and I'm getting a lot of feedback and a lot of new people interested to help, and it's really been a good thing, and that's how I'm trying to help, by spreading myself out as best I can to help.
You recently had 2 interviews for major publications. Would you like to talk about them a little bit and what it was about? And I know there's a lot of people were asking questions on, doing interviews on this subject. So
what I did was I was asked by BuzzFeed and Business Insider to do interview, and mainly the BuzzFeed reporter just wanted my story, pretty much like what happened to me and how I got to be a pain patient and everything. And then the Business Insider one, they wanted a little bit more information, but I didn't really want to give them some of the information they wanted, but they were fine with it. And I mostly just tried to stick to my story and what's going on with me, so that I didn't want to muddy waters or make anything worse,
Mm-hmm.
But then I have to say, I got a little bit more information, and I was a little bit worried that they were going to twist words and turn things around a little bit, and I called both of them back and told them that I didn't want my name to be used. And one of them pulled my story and said he didn't want to use it, and the other one said that was fine with her.
Okay. Why didn't you want to do that anymore? What was going on that you decided not to do this?
I just didn't want. I don't know. I didn't want to. I was trying to talk about my story, but I didn't. Some things they were asking me, I didn't feel comfortable with, and I was. I just didn't. I didn't feel. I started feeling less safe, and so I just decided that in order to keep me safe and my family safe and everything, I didn't want to answer some of the questions that they had, that they tried to push me to answer, and then I didn't. But then even some of the stuff that I did answer, I just didn't feel comfortable. So like I said, I asked if they'd change my name, and one said yes and one said no. And the one that said no said they'd have to pull my story. And I said, that's fine with me. Mm-hmm. Talk to someone else who wants to. I mean, I'm trying my best to do everything I can, and that's just one thing. I don't want to make my family unsafe or anything.
Right. We have a call. Caller from area code 774. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is... Hi.
Hi.
My name is Lauren Zaluka.
Hi, Lauren. How are you this evening?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, thanks. What's your question?
Okay, so I've actually been advocating for about a couple months now, at least publicly. I started privately in May, and I reached out to some media outlets to see if we can get some coverage for the work that we have been doing. Mm-hmm. In particular, I'm actually going to be going down to D.C. on November 28th with me and my team to meet with some legislators to talk about what's going on in the chronic pain community on the street, because unfortunately I'm suffering a lot of the consequences as an opioid refugee. Mm-hmm. I cannot even get access to 5 milligrams of oxycodone to treat my disease, and I had to step down from my job today.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
As a result of it. I apologize if I'm struggling to talk a little bit, as I haven't been eating properly in several weeks. I've maybe eaten every 3 or 4 days once because my condition is so aggressive.
Wow, I'm so sorry. What was your question that you wanted to ask Suzanne? I know you had a good one.
Yes, what I wanted to ask is I had reached out to the media, and it was, I don't know if I should say who it was, but in any event, they wanted me to release the names of who I had meetings set up with, and I wasn't really comfortable with doing that because I felt that there was a respect that I should extend to the politicians for accepting a meeting, and they said basically that they would do the story only if the names were released. So how do you feel about that? Because I've never done anything with the media or anything to this exposure before.
I think you did the right thing. When I talked to one of my legislators here in Michigan, I didn't broadcast who I talked to. I just said that I talked to someone in Michigan. I just think you did the right thing to not, unless you asked them and they gave you an agreement to give their name, then I wouldn't either, and I wouldn't do the interview. If they do things that you're uncomfortable with or say things you're uncomfortable with, you should not ever do it.
Yeah, and actually that's exactly what I told them. I said, without their explicit permission, I could not do that, but I'll give you everything else. And they essentially came back and gave me no promises and pressed me for a name, and I just declined the call at that point. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion. Thank you.
Yep, just like they try to press for how much people take or what the name they take. That's not important to the story.
Right.
Yeah, no, anyway. It's not, and that's why I felt very uncomfortable by the line of questioning. So.
Yeah. Good, you did good.
You're right. Well,
thanks,
thank you.
Lauren.
That makes me feel better about the choice that I made in that situation, and it will help me hopefully going forward.
Yeah.
Yes, you did the right thing. I always ask them if you do have an appointment or if you do have an interview coming up, you can always email them or whatever. Email seems to be the quickest way to get them, and or their activity director or schedule maker, whatever assistant. Ask them, do you mind if I'm talking to someone, can I say your name? And they'll tell you if they want to or not. But if you're caught on the spot, don't.
That's okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's great information.
Thank you, Lauren, for calling in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're welcome.
So what are dangers of being interviewed for publications on the subject of opioids? Like, what are they looking for? Are they going to actually do a fair story, do you believe, or are they really there to push their narrative?
I'll tell you what happened to me really quick. This was a few years ago, before any of this stuff even really was big. This was like maybe a year and a half ago, I don't know. But I got a call from someone who saw one of my YouTube advocacy videos, and she acted all nice, and she wanted to talk to me and was going to come out to Michigan and do all the stuff. And at the time, I talked to one of my mentors in one of the nonprofits, and I said, is this okay? And when I found out, he said to me, go look on YouTube, look at some of the things they've done and see if you agree with it or you disagree with it. See the work they've done, and you'll know if they're on your side or not. When I looked, I saw that they were the writers of videos called the OxyContin Express and stuff like that. So when I talked to my mentor, we decided that they were going to try and twist everything I said, and it wasn't going to be anything that I said, because you can say things to them, and they can put a period where you meant to put a comma, or they can not finish your sentence, or things like that, and then everything that you said gets misconstrued, and it's just a big mess.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the dangers. You have to be very careful.
Yeah, it sounds like that. Are there a lot of...
And one more thing, when you do represent another, like a nonprofit or something, you have to be sure you get their permission, like in those cases, because if you're representing them, you have to make sure it's okay for you to what they approve of you to say or not. Like when you're just yourself, it's okay to say what you want to say, but when you're representing someone else, you have to make sure that that you don't say anything that's going to hurt them or make them look bad or anything like that.
Right. Are there a lot of groups working together right now to kind of change this whole issue? Do you know of? And I mean, like, because why is this just like happening? And it seems like it's, eh, I mean, it seems like it's an uncontrollable wildfire that's going on. And I do understand that there's a problem, that there are people out there that have addictions and need help, but it's like there's this whole group of people like ourselves that are kind of just being left out. And I mean, like, and we're the ones that are going to suffer. Like, how is that
Right.
happening?
Well, like most of everything that I've said tonight, it's mostly my opinion, except for numbers and things that I actually said were facts. But my opinion of this is that there are all these different groups and all these different egos involved that need to be put aside, and everyone should work together. Like petitions, I found out don't really work. We all need numbers of people to be real faces in front of the legislators. We need to be faces and names in front of them, talking to them and telling our stories, because the one legislator that I talked to saw me as a person and didn't know any of the stuff that I was telling him about addiction or dependency, and would thank me afterwards. And it's just like we got to try to work more together. There's like all these different groups, and they're all working on different things, and I feel like and I'm not even talking about nonprofits or anything. I'm just talking about groups of people and different things trying to do stuff. And it feels to me like there's just, I don't know, I sort of feel like you were saying, I sort of feel like a little bit alone in it. Like I'm just trying to do what I can do because there's just too many other things involved. All people want to be this and that. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of ego stuff involved, and everybody's not working together. And we need to put all of that aside and try to just all work together with everyone who will help.
Yeah. So, what do you see that? So how can people come together? Like, what do they do? How can they get involved? Because I think a lot of people want to help, and I think it's so sad that a lot of chronic pain patients, I think we've always kind of stayed in the shadows and we don't talk a lot about what's going on. But I feel like with this issue, it's kind of forcing us all to come out and stand together and come together on this, because if we don't, we will lose our rights, to be treated
Right.
correctly. So how can people help out? How do you have any suggestions or where they can go? Is there any major groups that you work with right now that are involved with this, where people can kind of, back that?
Well, I mean, in this situation with the opioid issue, I'm a little bit on my own. I am sort of working with the group, but I sort of feel like I'm on my own, so I'm not going to even mention it because I'm not a representative of the group.
Okay.
And then with the people that I volunteer for, they kind of are doing their own things, kind of. So I'm kind of doing this, I feel, a little bit on my own and trying to do, like I said, write and get people informed. And like on my blog today, I put a link to people to go and write a comment. We need as many comments as we can on Andrew Cloudney's newest petition to make sure that there's no opioids that are above a certain level. Like they won't make any more 8 milligrams of something and they're only going to make 4s, and which means people are just going to have to pay more and take more. It's just ridiculous. And the American Academy of Pain Management doesn't agree with it. And the ATIP group, they don't believe in it. And everybody's trying to get people to make comments on this. And I have the link on my blog if anyone wants to write. If everyone would just go and write a comment, we would just overpower them. If we could just get everyone, even if you're not a good writer, just write what you think about this.
And where could they go?
Just try to write your feelings.
Where can they go so they know?
They can go to tearsoftruth.com. That's my blog.
Okay.
And the link is in today's post. And it's called Please, We Need Your Comments.
Okay.
And the link is right there. It's the FDA. No, not the FDA. I'm sorry. I got confused for a minute. It's the CDC docket. They're trying to get comments, as many as they can, for this issue.
Okay.
And we need, like I said, everyone, even if you can't say that one person can't do anything, because we need, if one of each person does something and tries to make phone calls to go and represent themselves to a legislator, and one person just keeps writing an op-ed for their newspaper to get people's awareness out there. And if all these one-person people do this, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did put tearsoftruth.com on our YouTube, so people will be able to see it from there as well. So you're involved with several, is it nonprofits and organizations? What are they, and why did you become a part of these?
I first started out in 2005 as a chemo angel, and I wrote letters, and I still do, write letters to people that have cancer, and I get assigned like a buddy who's sick, and I keep sending them cheery gifts and like mailable things like tea bags or bookmarks or magnets, and try to cheer them up with never telling any of my problems or anything. So it just keeps me positive and helps them to be positive through their chemotherapy or whatever. And sometimes I get children, and I have my cat write stories to them and stuff. And then I got involved. When I found out I had RSD, I called. RSD Hope was the first place I called, and I got a very kind voice on the phone, and it was Karen Orsini Toner, who's now passed, unfortunately. And then I got introduced to Mom Orsini, that everybody calls her Mom O, and Keith and everybody, and I started helping with RSD Hope. And I made awareness jewelry when I could. I can't really do it anymore. I do a little bit. And then I would do fundraisers for them and whatever I could to get awareness out. And I would get materials and do awareness events and stuff. And then when I found out about 9 months before they closed their doors, I had to hold in a secret. And I didn't like it, but I had to. And they were closing their doors, and I was feeling so alone and scared, like I didn't want to do this by myself. And I had been involved a lot with RSDSA, but they don't have that I know of. I haven't been able to be involved in any kind of real, like a big program or like make a big difference or whatever, do something. So anyways, I ended up getting involved. I found out about the U.S. Pain Foundation, and I met everyone there is like a family. They're so nice. They're so kind. And Paul Gelino has the biggest heart, and he's the nicest man. And they've just really come through for me. They've been there for me. They're so nice, and they try to help, and they've been wonderful. And so Jim Broach has been a wonderful mentor for me, and he helped me through things. And and then I've helped with the IDA team, the Invisible Disability Association, this year especially. And then a few years ago, they asked me to do like a feature video for them for their YouTube page called Invisible No More. And the U.S. Pain Foundation has their Invisible Project, too, where they try to get things out, the invisible to be visible. And they're all working to try to help in their own ways with this.
I think we have a caller. Caller from area code 304. What's your name and where are you from?
Wonder why.
Hello?
Nobody wants to spend time with you.
Hello? Caller from
Hello.
area code 304. What's your name and where are you from?
I'm from West Virginia.
Hello. What's your question or comment?
I just, I got in late in the conversation, but this is Les.
Oh, hi, Les.
How are you doing? I just wanted to applaud both you ladies for being open and expressing your interest and concerns about about people and how they have to live today and in today's world in our country and it's so hard I think to get people together in general to get people to like minds to think about just being human and what we need to do together collectively to solve issues. And that's what I think the problem is. Not that everybody has good intentions, but everybody gets wrapped up in their own little concerns. It's hard to be able to go solve bigger issues, I think.
Right.
But I think that I really think the lady that you're talking to, I think she's great. I think she's doing a great job. I think that
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I got to go right now.
Okay, thanks so much for calling in, Les. Alrighty.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. No, that's really nice because, honestly, I think a lot of us are doing so much work and we often don't hear, uh, that people appreciate it or, that they're even interested. So that was very nice of them. Um,
Yeah, it was.
so, all right, you mentioned you're a volunteer for a U.S. Pain Foundation. What complementary therapies are they stating to treat CRPS?
Well, they have 6 of them this month, 5 or 6 of them that they have webinars for us to go to learn about them to help other people. And some of them, I think a few of them are for the public. Most of them are for the volunteers so that we can go out in the public and tell people about it. But they have an Ouchie app that's coming out, that is out now and we're being taught about it, and it's sort of like teaching you how to deal with your pain and to write things down and keep track of things and stuff like that. That's one of them. They also have one acupressure, acupuncture, guided imagery, things like that. That I learned some of that when I went to some inpatient. To learn to be an in-person support group leader this summer. I went to Connecticut with my husband, and I started an in-person support group in my city, and I learned some of these things. And if the people that can do it, that can relax and do that, it does help you relax and does help ease up some of the tense muscles and things like that when you have it. Things like that. And that's what they're working on, that kind of stuff. And they're also they just now made a partnership with Victoria Swan for her Becoming Curable movie, and so they're trying to help that way. And so they partnered with her to help her with her movie, to help with people with chronic pain to get out there and get their voices out there, and her movie's going to help that. And she had the videos, video compilations that she made that several of us were in, that helped get our voices out there. They're trying to help get medical cannabis legalized. They're trying to do a lot of good things to help because they know what's coming right now, and so they're trying to help with other things to help people not be so afraid and be less tense about everything that's going on and be less afraid.
Right. And they also are supporting cannabis, correct? Or medical marijuana?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they are. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get that out there.
Okay.
Actually, there's a lady named Ellen Smith who's in charge of it there, and she knows everything you want to know about it.
Okay, great. I
can put you in contact with her if anyone needs to.
Okay. We have a question. Does Suzanne or anyone know what pain protocols are in other countries like the EU?
I found out that Canada is having trouble now. Like us, they're following right behind us, and the EU is following right in our footsteps too. I have friends in Scotland, and I have friends in England, and they're having the same trouble. They just want to give them something called paracetamol, which is like Tylenol, and that's it. They're having the same problems we're having. They're just a few steps behind us, not quite at the point we're at, but they're right there.
So
it's happening.
Do you think
if places like
go ahead. So
go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so like places like Washington State, I know right now they're, looking at possibly passing bills, and I don't know if it's for guidelines or if it's actual bills of that, doctors will not be allowed to be prescribing opioids for anybody.
It's an actual bill, and in Michigan it's happening too. And as of June 30th, if I don't do something about it, and I've already sat down with one of my Michigan House reps and talked to him about it, if I don't do something about it, I may be back in a hospital bed in my living room, because their House Bill 4601 is trying to make everyone take the same amount of medicine with no more, 90 morphine milligram equivalent, meaning that no one can take any more than that, not even realizing that everyone's different, everyone's body is different. Someone could be 100 pounds dripping wet and still need 3 times more than a guy who's 300 pounds. It doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter your weight or your gender. It matters what illnesses you have, and it matters how your body metabolizes. Some people hypermetabolize medication quickly, and they need more. And that doesn't mean that they're still not groggy, they're not sleepy. They can still drive sometimes. It doesn't matter, and they're not getting it. People who have no medical license are trying to take over this, and they don't know anything about it. They're not pain doctors. They need pain doctors to help with this.
Right.
And they're not asking them.
So you're saying so doctors aren't really they're just kind of being caught in the crossfire just like all of us, right? I mean, like do you
Yes.
so the majority of them actually, they don't agree with what's going on, but they feel like their hands are being kind of held or tied? Is that
The majority of, well, I don't know about the majority of them, but I know several that are on our side, and they're trying to do what they can as much as possible. Some will have their names and voices out there, and some don't want them out there, and some are asking us to do it for them. Also, I know the American Academy of Pain, they don't believe in a lot of the stuff that Andrew Chladni is doing, and there is a whole letter about it, what their voice is saying. And if you read anything by, I'm trying to think, what do you call, news writer, a journalist named Josh Bloom, Maya Salavis, they have good articles. If you read their articles, they're trying to help doctors get their voices out there. Dr. Tennant, Dr. Klein, Dr. Isvin, and Dr. Stefan Cortez, they're trying to get their voices, and they're trying to get their voices heard, and they're trying to really help us.
Well, that's great stuff. What other areas of advocacy work do you do? Because I know you said you did signing and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I want to talk about some of the other communities that you try to help out with.
Yeah. Well, I told you I do the chemo angel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The funnest part of that, I'm just going to say, it's so fun. What I do is every Christmas, whoever my assigned child or person is, I do the 25 days of Christmas. I just go to the dollar store and I get 25 things, and I send a box to them, and they get to open one thing every day. And it's just for them, going through chemotherapy, it just makes it so fun. And then on Christmas Day, they get to open something a little bigger. It's just fun, and the little children I like especially, even though it's the saddest part, it's the most, makes you feel the best.
Right.
I don't know. And I try to write whenever I can I'm a guest writer, a guest blogger, I guess, for RSDSA, and I've written some things for Yes Pain. I'd like to write more. I like to do that kind of stuff. I do sign language I can't be an interpreter anymore because I lost a lot of my hearing, and I have too much pain issues. And so what I do now for fun is I put in the hearing aids, or I try to get the words to the song down first, and then when the music comes on, I know when to start, and then I do it. And I do sign language to songs because I love music, and I don't want to lose that, but I can't really sometimes hear the words with the songs. So like I said, I learn the words first, and then I try to sign the songs. And I try, and people really enjoy it, even if they don't know sign language. They watch it, and I try to do songs for, like I think it was 2 years ago, I did the song Roar during November for CRPS Awareness Month, like the song Roar, and like a lion dancing through the fire, like for CRPS Awareness Month. I thought it would be fun, and I don't know, I've tried to do several songs. I've done Stand in the Light and Be Who You Are, that song. I've done I'm Gonna Stand By You, that kind of stuff. I try to do the Rachel Platten songs. I don't know, I try to do stuff that is, for me, it makes me happy, so I don't get depressed or get sad, or if I do feel myself getting sad, I don't need to take medicine. Luckily, I can do something like that. For me, that's something that works. Right. After a while, it does hurt, and I have to stop. Yeah. But I enjoy it.
Oh, that's great.
That's another thing I do. And I have my own YouTube channel at ASL Susie Q, and I have a whole bunch. I think I have like 78 songs on there now, and I get more, like about, I don't know, once a month I put a song up. Mm-hmm. It's just fun.
Good for you. Yeah, I know. Well, and thank you, by the way, for doing signing for one of our shows that we did. I really liked that. And in the future,
you're welcome.
Yeah, we almost have our software and everything ready now that we are going to be able to have video. So, maybe in the future you'd want to do a few more of those if we can do it.
That would be fun.
Prior. Yeah, I'd like that.
I would love to.
So, all right. So we kind of spoke a little bit about, what people can do for if they want to advocate or help out. Is there anything else that people can do, that you'd like to share to kind of get involved? Because I think it's really important that we do that. I was never much of an advocate until recently, but I love it. What are your suggestions?
Well, I think you can get with the U.S. Pain Foundation is uspain.org. You can get with RSDSA. You can get with any of them if you want to do some of the complementary things. But if you want to do the opioids, if you need the opioids and you want to work for that, you kind of have to find someone or really do it yourself in some ways. You have to just keep, like I said, you have to get out there and try not, I mean, like I said, there's just so many little groups that I just feel like if every person would just call, make those phone calls, every person go make an appointment, things like that. That's what we need. We need to be, the biggest thing is the people in the government that don't know this and who are making decisions on our life and our lives, they don't see faces. They don't hear our stories. Right. And you need to write to them. You can go on, like I can go on Michigan.gov. You can get all the addresses, all the phone numbers, emails. You can get everything. And you can just go down the list and write the same email to all of them pretty much and just tell them your story. Just how hard is that? Just tell them your story and send the email to all of them. Let them know who you are. Even send a picture of yourself if you want. Let them see a face. Let them see you and see that you're a person and that tell them how much you're in pain and how this is hurting you. Tell them the difference between dependency and addiction, and tell them that there are some people and there are, setting aside all the new patients and that's a horrible, and setting aside the surgeries and the bad things that are happening with that right now, even just the legacy patients still, they need to not be just dropped because they're going to die. Right. People can die. They don't even realize that you can die if you just get this drop. Your blood pressure goes up, your glucose goes up, things like that go up, and your body shuts down and you die. Right. And it's just sad. And that's what's going to start happening. And like I said, we can't let that happen to ourselves or our loved ones, our friends that we love, our families, nothing. We need to all step up. Yeah. And people that are hiding in the backgrounds that are just too scared or they say they're too sick, you can do this from your bed. You can put your laptop in your bed and write one letter a day. I know you can do that. Mm-hmm. If you can make a cup of tea or you can do anything, you can write one letter a day and send the same letter. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, if anybody is listening wants to write letters, because I'm actually collecting letters. I'll help. Yeah. If you want to send them to myself or Suzanne, because, in November 28th, we're going to D.C., a whole bunch of us, doctors and advocates and, people that can't do it. I am going to have live shows there as well, but we'll be meeting with senators. I'm going to help with the live Congress. Show. Yes. Yeah, that would be awesome. But I was hoping we'd have time to be able to get a rally together, but to get permits and stuff like that, it's just going to be too much. So I'm hoping maybe we could do that in the spring or summer. And then, that way, and I understand a lot of us we have our disabilities or, we're not well. So people that can't go, I'll definitely be having a live show for that stuff as well. But I would like to be able to have this stuff. But we need letters, we need to be able to put all this stuff together because you're right. It's so important that we put faces to this because a lot of these people that are making the laws and stuff like that, they are being, the people that have their ear right now is somebody like Kolodny, and they are pushing their thing, but they don't even know unless all they see is TV, so they don't know. They have no clue. And a lot of them, they're not even aware. So I think it's important that, we do know stats, that we do know factual stuff, not the myths, not the fear, that we can do this. And then when we could say, I am a patient. I am somebody that's been dealing with this. I am not somebody that broke my foot and I've only, I needed medicine for a year or not even a year, like a month or something, and then I became addicted. Yeah. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about people like us that have been doing this for many, many years, have tried all different other things before we had to get to, opioids. And, opioids is just, for some of us, it's the only thing that can take the edge off, and it's not a first line of it's not a first thing that they try. Sometimes the doctor, like these people don't understand. Most people have tried everything else first, a lot of other things, and nothing else worked. Yep.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
and
I think they have it pretty much down. I mean, first they try like physical therapy, injections, maybe an SES system, surgeries, different type of treatments of whatever, and then they'll start the medications and stuff like that. But this is years and years of doing this. That's what,
right.
an actual patient is of, and why it's so important that we are fighting for this. So, well,
And I wanted to
mhm.
say one thing about the rally.
Yes.
When you go to do the march or the rally or whatever you can do, make sure that people aren't like. I mean, I know that a lot of it, some of it's invisible, but we have to just everybody keep. I know you will, and I know you'll tell people too. But I'm just saying it out, putting it out there for other people. If they do this, make sure they stay respectful and that they stay.
Oh, yes.
If you need a wheelchair, take your wheelchair. Don't be afraid to take your wheelchair or your walker or your cane or whatever you need to take. Take it with you. Let them see all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, and once we get like a date and stuff like that down, I will have like a list of like, what to expect, how it will be and all that stuff. So, well, did you want to talk about anything else before we get going here tonight?
I just wanted to add something for CRPS RSD Awareness Month, that tomorrow, the 16th of November, for 24 hours from 7 p.m. tomorrow till 7 p.m. on Friday, my daughter is, if you search for LuLaRoe Jessie Engel, and that's Engel, she's doing a fundraiser with me for LuLaRoe. If you like the LuLaRoe clothes and you want to buy something, save it for that day if
How do
you
you
can.
spell LuLaRoe?
And she's donating. It's LuLaRoe, and then her name is Jessie, Jessy, and then Engel. And I have the information. If anyone didn't get that, I can give it to them. But I have it all over my Race for CRPS page. I have it on my groups. I have it on my page. I have it on the People in Pain Unite page. On Instagram, I've got it everywhere. And what if you do is if you buy something that you like and you were going to buy anyway next week, try to buy it this 24-hour period and if you're not in her group, just tell me, I can add you, or you just ask to be added and she'll add you. She knows what's going on. She's doing this. And we'll give 10%. She will personally give 10%. I'm not getting anything for it. I'm giving my free clothes or whatever I would get to the fundraiser, and she's going to give 10% instead. And LuLaRoe will match that to give 20% if we reach a certain limit first.
Great.
So I'm trying to get people to do that. And then at the end of the month, I also have an awareness event for CRPS and fundraiser at Mario's Pizzeria in Westland, like I did in September for U.S. Pain Awareness Month. So I'm trying to do an awareness event for RSD CRPS to get people to know what it is too. And I will have that information up on my pages and blog and everything too.
If you want to give it to us, we could put it up on our events page too on our website. So just let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Suzanne, it was so great having you, and thank you so much for coming on and talking about everything that you have. I mean, you do so much wonderful advocacy work and stuff, and about the whole thing with the opioid issue. I know a lot of us have been afraid to talk about it because we don't want our treatments taken away, but I think it's just getting to the point that if we don't, they're going to be taken away anyway. So we have to do something about it. But I really appreciate you coming on and being so open and honest about it. And
thank you.
Yeah, and sharing everything. And you're doing such amazing work. So I'm excited to work with you more in the future.
And so are you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
And I'm proud to call you my friend. Thank you.
Same here. Well, have a great night. And I just appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. And I can do this propped up in my lazy boy chair with pillows around me and still get something done.
There you go. All righty.
Thank you.
Well, Call Nation, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. This whole thing with opioids is so important that we talk and learn about it. I am working closely with somebody like Suzanne and a few other groups to fight for our rights and our freedoms so we don't lose these. So, and I just got a message from Teresa Smith saying, I will get my letter to you. Do you want a picture as well? Yes, pictures would be great. If you'd like, you could send it to my email address, and it's Jonelle, JONELLE.E, at conspiraciesagainstwellness.com. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing yet. I think I wanted to start putting shows together on what we're going to be doing in D.C. the following week. That following week on the 28th and 29th, which is a Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be having live shows with the group of people that I'll be going to D.C. with. Dr. Thomas Klein is also involved in that, and he's going to be joining us in D.C., so that will be really cool. But we will be having shows definitely then, but I was thinking maybe we could start having stuff about, the information that we're putting together, because what we're trying to do is we're putting a packet of information together. We're getting letters. So, yeah, pictures would be great, Teresa, thank you. But we want your personal letter. And we want, of what happened to you, what's going on. So what would be great, and, make it short and sweet. So basically, introduce yourself, maybe, just talk about who you are, what your life was like when you had that healthy life, what happened, and how life has changed since then. And, if you have pictures of, like, for example, I'm going to have a photo of myself when I was playing in the Olympics in Ohio State for field hockey. And then I'm going to have pictures of when I was in the hospital bed. And then, and what my life is like right now. Now, my diseases are pretty much invisible besides when I have flares in my hands and stuff like that. Or you could see the scars on my neck from all the neck surgeries I've had. But other than that, you really wouldn't know unless and usually the days that I don't feel good, you're not going to see me because I hide. So, yes, letters would be great, but we're going to have information of, what people need to know. So basically, what I want to tell them in D.C. and the senators and congressmen that we're going to be meeting with, I want to talk about the problem. I want to give them stats and factual information for them. Then I want to, talk about all of us that have these issues. And then from there, give them suggestions on how they can change things. So, our rights and freedoms aren't taken away. So, all right, Call Nation, thanks again for joining us tonight, and I will see you next Tuesday. Good evening.
Listening to Conspiracies Against Wellness with Janelle Elgoway. Join us next week to get in on the conversation. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and callers, and not necessarily those of EXG, LLC, its employees, or sponsors. I'm David Schiff.
The Cause Show with Janelle Elgoway is copyright 2017 by EXG LLC. All rights reserved.